Hi, this is Victor Blanco. I'm the Marine Extension Agent for Taylor County IFAS Extension and Florida Sea Grant. Welcome to the 2020 Fish Identification course for the Artificial Reef Volunteer Divers in the Gulf of Mexico, the first step to become part of a citizen science-based program for the monitoring of Buckeye offshore of Taylor County. This program is possible thanks to the grant funds provided by FWC to Taylor County Board of County Commissioners and coordinated by the University of Florida IFAS Extension, Florida Sea Grant, and the Taylor County Reef Research Team. Buckeye Reef monitoring has been possible for the last couple of years thanks to the effort of volunteer divers who help collect scientific valid information on fish composition and artificial reef material status at Buckeye. 2020 is the third continuous year for the monitoring program. This presentation was developed by the Taylor County Marine Extension Agent, Victor Blanco, using a base presentation provided by Doug Marcinek that is used for Fish ID course in the University of Florida, and has been reviewed by Bill Lindbergh from the University of Florida Fisheries and Aquatic Science Program, from the only purpose of online volunteer divers training in artificial reef fish identification in the Gulf of Mexico, and for the implementation of the Buckeye Reef Monitoring Program funded under the UFWC Agreement number 19049 that states, data collection training course. All volunteers members of Taylor Reef Research Team will be required to attend and participate in a basic data collection and fish identification course. The course will be led by a University of Florida instructor who has experience in performing marine survey techniques, scientific diving, and identifying Gulf of Mexico reef fish species. In addition to learning the survey procedure, volunteers will be taught how to correctly identify and estimate size and numbers of the observed fish. Underwater video and our photos will be used as teaching aids and test materials to provide participants with examples of local reef fish communities. Important note, no fish can be collected during surveys for personal consumption. This presentation will introduce you to the most important morphological characteristics of fish that help make an accurate identification of fish species, understanding some basic ecological adaptations fish have developed. Then we will learn the top 20 artificial reef fish present in Buckeye Reef, and we'll link them with the morphological and ecological characteristics learned at the beginning of this course. Finally, we will check on a list of more than 30 potential species that might be seen in the reef but are not common. At the end of the course, the student will be in the capacity to properly identify more than 90% of the top 20 fish species in Buckeye Reef. It is important to be familiar with the body parts of the fish, as they will provide important information to help us identify different species, as well as coloration patterns and body parts of part ratios like percentage head and percentage body also provide important information, as species from the same groups or not will share similar characteristics. Take a moment to memorize the parts of the fish. Fish have a wide variety of shapes, and it is closely related to swimming, feeding, mimic with the environment, and provide a clue if the fish lives in the water column or is associated with the sea bottom. In this slide, we see at least 8 different fish shapes, from the fusiform shape of the active and fast-swimming tuna to the depressiform shape of the bottom-dwelling ray. The key aspect of this slide is to understand that the fish shape is another important aspect helping in the identification of fish. As well as the body shape, the caudal fin shape and the mouth position represent important ecological characteristics of the fish and describe their swimming and feeding adaptations. Round caudal fin shapes have an effective acceleration, but a lot of drag, so get tired easily, like cobia, sand divers, and belt sandfish. Good adaptations for escaping predators or ambushing prey. Truncate, emarginated, and forked shapes also have an effective acceleration and maneuvering, but not as much drag. Gag groupers and most snappers, grunts, and barracuda have this kind of tail. Lunate caudal fin shape is rigid with less surface area for great acceleration but decreased maneuvering, as usually is associated with pelagic fish, those large swimmers of the oceans like tuna, amberjacks, mackerel, and sailfishes. On the other hand, the mouth position is related to the feeding habits of the fish species. A superior position is common for planktophagous species like sardines or other bayfish, or bentonic species predating or species on a higher position like the toadfish. A mouth terminal position is the most common in the sportfish, and this species prey on other marine organisms, inverts or not. The inferior position is effective in species that prey on organisms living in a lower position in the water column or buried in the bottom of the ocean. Some of these species have some sort of barbs to help detect potential prey. Other important characteristics to consider are fish age. Some species change color and shape in different stages of growth, like white grunts and cobia. Also, fish sex. Males and female sexual dimorphism is common in several fish species, like in the parrotfish. Fish reproductive stage. Some fish can adopt morphological or color changes during reproductive season, like we see in salmon. Body marks. To identify different species within fish groups, it's important to consider patterns, colors, and numbers of line, spots, barbs, etc. Like in grunts, that will be really helpful to identify. Eyes. The position, color, and dimension of eyes can be helpful to identify and differentiate fish species, like in anchovy from sardines. Fins. The size, aspect, number, and distance between fins can also provide a hint to differentiate fish species, like in clupates or sardine groups. Fish color. Between 30 feet of depth, some colors are absorbed by the water column, and it makes it harder to identify fish species. Be aware of color patterns in fish, like in snappers. Fish habits. If you are aware of some bioecological aspects, like geographic distribution, use of habitats, etc., of fish groups, it is easier to identify some species. Head and body ratio. Proportions of head dimensions versus body in fish can help you differentiate species, especially in groups like the catfish. According to an extended review done by Dr. Bill Lindbergh and his team in artificial reef in the Gulf of Mexico, there have been identified at least 103 native species in 42 families, and there have been reports of the invasive species lionfish. However, in the last 2 years of monitoring at Buckeye Reef, not a single lionfish site has been reported. According to Lindbergh's research, there is a slight difference in the abundance of species in summer and winter seasons. As the Buckeye Reef monitoring season is performed late spring and summer to early fall, when water temperature is over 72 degrees Fahrenheit, so we will be more likely to see the species listed in the left column. Now let's go through the top 20 fish species at Buckeye Reef. From 2018 and 2019 monitoring, the most abundant species of fish in most of the reef side was the tomtate or Hamilon aeroliniatum, which is a species of the grunt family and has horizontal yellowish or golden from the mouth across the eye to the caudal peduncle. Juveniles, which are 2 to 4 inches, may be present schooling in large aggregations, swimming in the water column near the reef structure, similar to bayfish. The dark spot in the caudal peduncle or tail is the best differentiation characteristic. Adult tomtate can be spotted as single individuals or swimming in small groups. The gag grouper, or Pteroperca microlepis, is the most common fish reported in all type of artificial reef material. That includes cubes, culverts, pyramids, and scrap metal. Usually between 10 and 24 inches long. They hide inside reef structure, and numerous dark brown spots on the body and a yellowish eye are common to this species. The gray snapper or mangrove snapper, Duhanus griseus, is also one of the most common species found in the reef structures. Their color and body shape and the line that goes from the mouth across the eye to the fish loin is very common. Coloration varies from silver to golden and many tones in between. It is slightly dorsoventrally compressed. The gradient amberjack of Seriola dumerli is a common pelagic species swimming over the artificial reef structure. It is common to see them in medium to large groups schooling over the reef material. They have a fusiform, tuna-like shape and are larger than 20 inches. They also have a dark line across from the lower to the upper side of the eye. Belted sandfish, Serranus subligarius, belongs to the same family as sea basses. They are hermaphrodites, each individual possessing functional male and female reproductive tissues. In Buckeye Reef, can be 2 to 3 inches long and are territorial fish located on the artificial reef structure and near the bottom. You have to be close to the reef structure to see them. The slippery dick, or Halichoeres vivitarus, is a fish of the same family than wrasses, family Labridae, and other perciforms related to the sand perch in the next slide. Most are from 12 to 18 centimeters, but can reach up to 23 centimeters. They have numerous colors, phases in their life cycles. Juveniles are mainly white with black horizontal stripe from the mouth through the eye to the caudal fin or tail, as well as another stripe on the underside. They tend to exploit disturbances of the bottom, such as the overturning of rocks, which bring a swarm of them in search of food. Well-camouflaged invertebrates are revealed this way, and are common to see them swimming very close to a diver disturbing the sand. So this is one of the species that you will really see most of the time near you during the surveys. Also, the sand perch or the Plankton formosum are brown top, fading to white underneath, with darker vertical bars, a midline stripe ending in a dark spot at the tail, and irregular blue horizontal lines. Rarely growing more than 9 inches long, they prefer shallow bays or reef, where they eat crustaceans and small fish and avoid being eaten by large fish. Sand perch feeds primarily on benthic crustaceans, including shrimps, crabs, and amphipods, as well as small fishes such as small sea bass, gobies, blennies, flatfishes, and filefish. Predators of the sand perch include snappers, groupers, red porgy, and red drum. And this is a very common species with the you will see with slippery day. The white grunt, or Hemulon plumieri, is a silvery cream color with numerous yellow and blue horizontal stripes present throughout the body. The head is long with distinct snout and a forked caudal tail. The average size of this fish is 6 inches to more than a foot, and often changes its color to its direct surroundings. Juveniles often creating groups hiding between sponges and soft corals near the bottom. One identification clue is the blue lines in the rostrum. Adults may be present as single individuals or small groups. This is another of the most common species in Buckeye Reef. The cubio or Paracus morosus is a member of the croaker or Cyanidae family. The cubio has a deep, oblong, moderately compressed body with a strong arched back. They have a silvery gray-brown coloration that varies significantly with maturity. In adults, large gray body and fins, body with many thin black stripes. Juveniles are whitish with black stripes, a black bar on the dorsal and pelvic, a vertically oval black ring or snout, and pectorals are colorless. Maximum size to 7.9 inches. Prefer habit near the bottom, create medium to large groups, especially under and within scrap metal reef material. The scalp sardine, Arengula jawana, is a herring-like fish in the family Clupeidae. It is native to coastal waters of the western Atlantic Ocean, have a deep fusiform compressed body, and is a pelagic coastal species that form very large schools in coastal waters. It is common to find them schooling over artificial reef material. They reach a maximum length of 10.8 inches. The sheep's head, Arcosargus protobacephalus, is a marine fish that grows to 30 inches, but most commonly reaches 10 to 20 inches. It is deep and compressed in body shape, with 5 or 6 dark bars on the side of the body over a gray background. In Buckeye has been reported as single individual or pair swimming near the bottom. The sand diver, or Cynodus intermedius, is a species of fish in the lizardfish family and possesses long cylindrical bodies with a size ranging between 3.9 and 13.7 inches. Sand divers are demersal or benthic fish, meaning that they live close to the seabed. They bury themselves into the sand or can use habitat on shallow corals on reef with mainly rock structures. Sand divers are always in a position for feeding, as they tend to support themselves on their pectoral fins in the sand near rocks and stay still until smaller organisms pass. They are carnivorous, and their diet consists mainly of small fish and inverts. The hogfish, or Lachymalismus maximus, is a species of wrasse native to the western Atlantic Ocean. These species occur around reef, especially preferring areas with plentiful gorgonians. This wrasse is usually flat and oval-shaped compared to other wrasses, with red irises and colors that changes through the stages of its life. They live in small groups. In some Buckeye Reef sites, they can be predominate. Hogfish reach a maximum of 36 inches in total length and about 24 pounds and have been recorded to live up to 11 years. The Spanish mackerel, Scomberomorus maculatus, is a migratory species of mackerel that swims to the northern Gulf of Mexico in spring, returns to South Florida in the eastern Gulf, and to Mexico in the western Gulf in the fall. Their body is elongate, strongly compressed. Their color is bluish green above, silvery on sides and below, with yellow to bronzy spots on sides. Their maximum size of 3.5 feet is common to 19.5 inches. In Buckeye, you have to look up on the water column to spot them. Active and fast swimmers. The great barracuda, Sphaerena barracuda, is a long tubular fish with a very pointed snout filled with 2 rows of teeth, and small fins set back towards its crescent caudal fin. It is a shiny blue-gray above, fading to silver, and white below, usually with dark spots on its lower sides and sometimes with faint darker bars on its upper side. This successful daytime ambush hunter can burst in speed up to 35 miles per hour and is a danger to humans because it will mistakenly attack shiny objects of fish cuts or unspeared fish. It can grow to over 5 feet long. In Buckeye, they have been being reported only on scrap metal material as a single or in groups of up to 7 large individuals. The red snapper of Duhanus campechanus is an offshore fish that prefer deep reef or rocky banks. They are a dark pink-red, fading to pale underbelly. They are classically almond-shaped with red eyes and dorsal and anal fins that taper to points near the caudal fin. Generally, they grow to 24 inches long. It's not common to see them in Buckeye as they get easily disturbed by divers and will escape the reef modules to surrounding areas. The white-spotted soapfish of Pricticus maculatus is a species of fish in the family Serranidae, which includes the sea basses and groupers. Their body is elongate and compressed, with a head slightly concave in profile. Color tan to brown, pale on head and belly, with few scattered white spots on upper body. Their maximum size is 12.5 inches, but common about 10 inches. It's a passive fish, usually hiding near reef crevices. The leopard toadfish, Opsanus pardus, has a moderately depressed body. They are a light brown to yellow color. The head and fins have medium-sized brown spots. The body and pectoral fins are mottled. They have a wide flattened head with numerous barbels around the mouth. They are bottom dwellers found within rocky areas, including reefs. They reach a maximum length of 13 inches. They are voracious predators, consuming small fish, crustaceans, annelids, and mollusks. Males have a specialized swim bladder, producing sounds known as boat whistlers, usually found near the bottom borders of the artificial reef material in Buckeye. The cocoa damselfish, or Stegastes variabilis, is a damselfish in the family Pomacentridae, found on coral and rocky reefs. They are often solitary fish as they are territorials. It is an oval, laterally compressed fish and grows to about 5 inches in length. The top half of the body is generally dark blue or brown, and the bottom half is yellow. The caudal fin is shallowly forked and has rounded lobes. Very common on the artificial reef material in Buckeye Reef. The red grouper, Pinophelus morio, while primarily eating benthic invertebrates, is an opportunistic feeder in the reef community. The diet commonly includes crabs, juvenile spiny lobsters, the snapping shrimp, with the occasional fish. The red grouper is of moderate size, about 49 inches. Body coloration is typically reddish brown in color, with many white spots. When aggravated or involved in spawning activities, these fish can very rapidly change coloration patterns. In Buckeye, it seems inside inside artificial reef material, sharing space with the gag grouper. The Atlantic spadefish, Chaetodipterus faber, has a deep disc-shaped body, which is very deep and compressed. The body is similar in color, with irregular black vertical bands that fade gradually with age. There are 4 or 6 black vertical bands on each side, with the first running through the eye and the last running through the caudal peduncle. Their maximum length is about 36 inches. In Buckeye, they can be seen swimming in schooling groups on the water column near the reef material. When threatened, the great triggerfish, or Balistes capriscus, a distinctly shaped fish, can slip into a small crevasse and erect their front dorsal spine, which lock it into place, wedging them firmly into their hiding spot. They have sharp teeth for cutting into hard-shelled prey like sea urchins and starfish. They range from light to olive to brown-gray with some banding, and can adjust their color to blend into their surroundings. They can grow to a maximum length of about 30 inches. The adults drift along the bottom, either alone or in small groups. The Gulf flounder, Parlectis albiguta, is a flat fish that swims on its sides. Their 2 eyes look upward when swimming. Adults are found in a variety of habitats, but generally prefer hard, sandy bottoms, are compressed laterally, and spend most of their life lying on the bottom or swimming along the bottom on their side. They're found on sandy bottom near the artificial reef structure. The Goliath grouper of Pinophelus itahara, also known as the jewfish, is a large saltwater fish of the grouper family, found primarily in shallow tropical waters among corals and artificial reef. They may reach extremely large sizes, growing to lengths up to 8.2 feet, and can weigh as much as almost 100 pounds. In Buckeye, this species has been spotted on scrap metal, concrete culverts, and concrete pyramids. The pigfish, or Capriscus chrysoptera, are characterized by irregular barring on their cheeks, a mottled appearance, or indented irregular vertical bars. Often mistaken for pinfish, and rarely reach more than 8 inches in length. The body color is generally light blue-gray, which fades to silver along the ventral region. Not common at Buckeye, and can be mistaken with the white grunt as well. The SEAWEED BLENNY Parablennius marmoreus is a species of common blenny found in coral reefs. This species reaches a length of 3.3 inches. Although it has a few look-alike fish, the tufts of branches serrated above each eye easily recognize it. Its elongated body with blunt head is ideal for life in the shallow amount rocks. As an omnivore, The seaweed blenny feeds primarily on algae along with some predation on polychaetes, which are worms, crustaceans, and hydroids. In Buckeye, you have to pay close attention on the reef material during your roving dive, as they can share areas with cocoa damselfish and belt sandfish. You have to pay a lot of attention to spot them. The shark sucker, Echinus naucratus, are very recognizable fish because of their highly modified dorsal fin that in an oval-shaped sucking disc. They are as long as 43 inches and slender with lower jaws that extend much further than upper. The shark sucker has a long slime body measuring 11 to 12 times as long as it's wide. Not common in Buckeye Reef. The French angelfish Pomacanthus paro and the queen angelfish Olacanthus ciliaris are two of the most common angelfish species in shallow reefs, occurring usually in pairs, often near sea fans. They feed on sponges, algae, browsons, zoantharians, gorgonians, and tunicates. Juveniles tend cleaning stations where they service a broad range of larger fish, including jacks, snappers, morays, grunts, surgeonfishes, and wrasses. They have a relative low abundance in Buckeye Reef. The spotted batfish, Ogcocephalus cubifrons, is an odd-looking, bloody, lumpy, arrow-shaped fish with white set pectoral fins on arms and small forward-placed pelvic fins underneath its body. It tends to move sluggishly around the sand and rubble bottom or among the seagrasses, scavenging for small crabs, shrimp, mollusks, worms, or other slow-moving small prey. They can reach up to 15 inches in length, but it's not common, even though it can be seen at Buckeye Reef. North shark or Gymnostoma serratum is an elasmoran fish, color dark brown to yellow brown above, lighter below, occasionally with yellowish hue on underside. Juveniles often with black spots. Very small eyes. Mouth near tip of a snout with conspicuous nasal barbels on each side. First and second dorsal and anal fins broadly rounded. Caudal fin with no distinct lower lobe. Nurse sharks are opportunistic predators that feed primarily on small fish and some vertebrates. That's been spotted a couple of times at Buckeye. The southern stingray, Hypanus americanus, is a whip-tailed stingray found in tropical and subtropical waters of the western Atlantic. It has a flat, diamond-shaped disc with a mud brown, olive, and gray dorsal surface and white underbelly or ventral surface. Female stingrays can grow to a disc width of 59 inches, contrary to the smaller male stingrays that reach a maximum size of 26.3 inches. The black sea bass, Centropristis striata, is an exclusive marine grouper found more commonly in northern than in southern ranges. They spend most of their time close to seafloor and often congregate around bottom formations such as rocks, fabricated reef, wrecks, jetties, piers, and bridge piling. The maximum size of sea bass is 20 inches, weighing 9.5 pounds. It often rests stationary or cruises slowly around structures. It occasionally rests on the bottom or other structures, staying either head down or head up. Low abundance in Buckeye during summertime. Now let's have a closer look to some species that can be easily confused and check the differentiation from an accurate identification during our surveys. Slippery dig and sand perch belong to two different fish groups. However, they share the same behavior and habitat in the reef. If the diver is disturbing the sandy bottom, they will be around. Three main characteristics differentiate these two species. First, the mouth. Despite both species have a terminal mouth, in sand perch is wider than the slippery dig. The easiest way to identify is by the line's coloration, which is bright blue in sand perch and darker in the slippery dig, but also the caudal fin shape, which is lobulated in slippery dig and emarginated to fork in the sand perch. The great amberjack and blue runner can also be misidentified as they tend to swim overhead of divers. One difference is that the forked caudal fin in amberjack is rounded between the lobes, while in the blue runner is angular. Blue runner have well-marked saw-shaped scales in both sides of the caudal peduncle, while amberjack is not too marked. Finally, amberjacks have a dark line going across a dark eye, while blue runner lack the line and have a yellow right eye. This slide depicts 4 different species that can be misidentified. Tomtate and white grunts belong to the same group and have relatively similar patterns and different life stages. Pay attention to the caudal fin tail, color of the body lines, and size. In the pigfish, we see a pattern of spots in the rostrum or face, which are lacked in the great snapper, and the body patterns also vary between the two. Finally, there is a slight difference in the caudal fin shape, truncate in pigfish and emarginated in great snapper. Gag and red grouper can vary their body color patterns according to different stressors. However, that is the main differentiator between the two. Gag have a marble pattern and a tail slightly concave, while red grouper will display white spots on the body and the tail is truncate. Also, the untrained eye may confuse the black sea bass with the belted sandfish. The differences include the size, as belted sandfish usually are not more than 3 inches long and is present as a single individual on the reef structure, while black sea bass is larger in size, usually more than 5 inches, and may aggregate in groups on the bottom near the reef structures. Other fish species reported for artificial reef in the Gulf of Mexico but have not been reported during the last 2 years of monitoring of Buckeye: the round cat, the Capriscus punctatus, the blue runner, Capriscus, which is a direct family of the great amberjack, the crevalle jack, Caranx epus, the almaco jack, Seriola rivoliana, the banded rudderfish, Seriola sonata, the painted rice, Halichoeres caudalis, on the same genus as slippery dick, plainhead filefish, Stephaloplepis ispidus, belongs to a different family than great triggerfish. Ocellatus frogfish, Pholerictis ocellatus, with an incredible camouflage and a small size. The bronzy cardinal fish, Astrapogongo alutus. Needlefish, Strongylura sp, which is a subspecies, always near the surface of the water surface. The crested blenny, Epleurochilus heminatus. The ocellated flounder, Ancylopsida omnata. The eyed flounder, Botus ocellatus. The two-spot flounder, Botus robinsi. The spotted dragonet, Diplogrammus posi radiatus. The Atlantic bumper, Chloroscombrus chrysurus. Leatherjack, Oligopletis saurus. The spotted hack or cowling, Urophysis regia. The mojarra, Eusinostomus species. The spot-tailed pinfish, Diplodocus holbrooki. Chickered blenny, Startzia ocellata. The marbled blenny, Paraclinus marmoreus. The spotted goby, Caudalis punctipectophorus. The two-scaled goby, Gobiosoma longipala. The tiger goby, Tigrigobius macrodome. The blue goby, Pterelotris caliura. Seminole goby, Microgobius cari. The pearly razorfish, Syrinx novacula. Cobia, Rechicentrum canatum. The bank sea bass, Centropristis surus. The pygmy sea bass, Serraniculus pumilio. The saucer eye porgy, Calamus calamus. Black drum, Pogonius chromis. The reef croaker, Odontosion dentex. The bull shark, Carcharinus leucus. Scallop hammerhead shark, Sphyrna alewini. The rogue-tailed stingray, Batistosia centrora. The smooth butterfly ray, Gymura micruta. And the lionfish, Pterois volitans, which is an invasive species, and as we mentioned before, have not been reported yet for Buckeye Reef. As an important note, lionfish presence should be noted, but should be removed as secondary mission after surveys have been completed, if possible. During 2018 and 2019 monitoring, no lionfish was spotted at Buckeye Reef. Thank you for taking the online fish identification training course. Here is a list of references for your complementary readings. And please remember to review the top 20 fish in Buckeye Reef, as you will need to take a test and get over 90% to be able to participate in the fish census during the 2020 monitoring program. However, do not worry. If you do not get the 90%, you still have the chance to participate in the program as a diver. Look forward to see you all at the in-person training, where we will learn about the fish count techniques, the logistics and coordination of survey dives, and finish the course with a pool session where we will mock a survey and check the diving skills. Thank you for participating on behalf of the Taylor County Board of County Commissioners and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, University of Florida IFAS Extension, Florida Sea Grant, and the Taylor County Reef Research teams.